if it was not for the support of a visionary elected official. And it's very seldom that you could point to one or two people. And we've had great support from our General Assembly. But Bev Perdue, from the time that she was a state senator from New Bern to the time of her 8 years as lieutenant governor to 4 years as governor, has had a vision for digital education that was centrally that involved getting bandwidth and it involved basically equity of education, equity of access to education to everyone, based on good technology and good connectivity. We worked a lot with Governor Perdue in kind of an open manner to determine what our role would be in that. We competitively bid for everything that we won, but it turned out that we became central in the backbone network for what we for that vision. But without that support, we wouldn't have it. So I'm proud today that Myra Best is here with us, because if you had to point to a single person who has been affiliated with Governor Perdue over that period of time, particularly the last 12 years, who had the responsibility for implementing that vision, it's been Myra. Myra serves as the special advisor to Governor Perdue on e-learning and education innovation. She leads policy and budget initiatives for education and coordinates the e-learning commission, which happens to be housed here at MCNC for the state. And prior to assuming her current role, Myra served as the director of the Business Education Technology Alliance and also was involved still with the e-learning commission and its launch and founding. She led or helped lead the development with other groups of North Carolina's virtual public school. She helped lead the development of the School Connectivity Initiative, which eventually gave MCNC the responsibility for bringing all 115 school districts onto the backbone. Myra is a master at building public-private partnerships and getting people to do what she wants them to do by various and many means. She spent several years in the classroom and particularly looks at special education as an area of interest for her and an area where she's professionally degreed. And Myra is here today representing the governor, is going to give us a few remarks. So Myra, welcome.
I always like for Joe to introduce me. He always makes me sound so wonderful. But just so you'll know, I am here on behalf of the governor. And the governor today is actually in Thomasville and Kannapolis, recognizing local schools as innovators in digital learning. And she would not be doing that today were it not for the services provided by MCNC through the Connectivity Initiative, because that has been a big part of what her vision has been for North Carolina and her role as a leader for many, many years. But what I would like to tell you, we've just returned from Washington, D.C., where the governor participated in a panel on digital learning and shared the MCNC story and the public-private partnership story for North Carolina. And what we learned through that particular panel discussion, which was a part of Governor Jeb Bush's national summit, we were somewhat in the minority of the Democratic persuasion, which is where we're from. But what was interesting in the whole story is that other states are really struggling to do what North Carolina has been able to accomplish. And for that, we owe great, great applause, not only to Joe's leadership, but to Jane Patterson's leadership when she was in her role with Governor Hunt, and just the historical perspective we have in this state of building strong public-private partnerships. What we came away from the meeting yesterday with in the panel discussion is a lot of interest from other legislators, from other leaders in technology, from companies that were in attendance to this conference, who really don't understand the value of public-private partnerships and how you have to put the policy piece together with the companies. And I can't say enough good work or good things about the work of the North Carolina Technology Association when we first started out the door. Brooks was not involved with the association at that time. Joe was not involved with MCNC at that time. But as we are smart enough to know that we brought those good leaders in as the process, and that has just continued to ignite the support. But it's because we had the education sector, we had the public policy sector, we had the business sector, the organization that represented the technology companies all come together to help move this initiative. And so what we did learn is we are one of the very few states that have that kind of relationship, and that's really why we're where we are today in this state in moving initiatives forward. So I say that having come from that particular experience. But in terms of the vision for technology and the use of technology in our state, the governor will tell you that she nor I know anything about technology. As a matter of fact, we know just enough to be dangerous. But what we do know is somewhat like flipping on a switch and the lights coming on. We know that there's incredible technology, incredible research and development that takes place in order to get us where we need to be. It's a very costly venture, but the end result of what it can accomplish for people, the quality of life, the movement of education is incredible, and we have to continue to build those opportunities. So the governor has been very committed to this effort, and she will spend, even when she leaves office the end of this month, she will continue to be an advocate for what technology and the work has happened in North Carolina can do and will continue to do for us. But I have to say a little bit about our work specifically with MCNC and when we started this initiative out. And the governor did a very eloquent job herself yesterday of telling how we recognized the importance and the value of technology. Her vision when she started with this whole effort was a simple vision, and that was in 2005, and that was she wanted to see the day where we could put technology into the hands of every child so that they could personalize their own learning. She had that vision out of the box, and the first thing we did was created this thing called the North Carolina Virtual Public School. And the whole idea of doing that was technology provides a way for us to reach every child, no matter where they live, what their income level is, no matter how remote, no matter how rural you happen to live, and anywhere in the world. So when we initiated that effort, right out of the box, we had 3,000 students sign up to take courses in the virtual school. And what we did when we went back and looked at where those 3,000 students were, we found they were in Wake County, Charlotte Meck, in the Guilford area, and the very places that we attempted to reach were left completely out. And so we had to step back. And I think when we stepped back as a commission at that time, which was the Business Education Technology Alliance, what we recognized is that there was no capacity in the areas of the state that needed that capacity. And that's really how the School Connectivity Initiative all began. And we did a public-private partnership right out at the very beginning. Started with Jane. I see Jane in the back. Jane with what she was doing with ENC at the time. We had MCNC and the resources that were here and were in place, and we worked from our strength. And what has happened for this state has been an incredible journey. I applaud the work that all of you are doing, and we understand that without the continuation of that effort, we will not continue to see the rich results we've seen in this state. The other thing that we have spent some time in the last 6 months doing is looking at what's happening across the rest of the country and what's happening across the rest of the world and where we need to go next. And I think Joe alluded to that just a little bit. And I do have to say again that I often credit MCNC and the wonderful staff here for saving our public schools, because I do believe had we not started this initiative, our public schools would be in a really dire position today. So for that, we do thank them. So you can't underestimate the quality of the individuals that you're working with. And this comes back full circle to the conference that we just left. We have a huge divide between our business world and our policy world. And one of the challenging things that we're seeing is our leadership in our policy environment are not necessarily well informed about the future of where we need to go. And I would strongly encourage you to spend a great amount of time with your policy leadership. We've been a little bit discouraged about the lack of support, but that's who in our states across the country, that's who are the people that make the difference and make make the big initiatives happen for states and improving the economy and growing jobs. So I would encourage you to continue that, because where we are as a country in policy structure, from my perspective, and that's where I live and spend most of my time, is we have systems in place that support large companies, large bureaucracies, and that's really not where it is. And we've seen that. Joe mentioned Bob Giolis and the work that's going on with revisioning for the Research Triangle Park, and we were built in this area on the large companies. But what we haven't focused on is how do we restructure what we're doing to support the startup initiatives, which we spend a lot of time talking about today. And I would encourage people to think about that we have a structure across this country that does not support the work of small, great companies and great ideas and innovation. And I hope to see that as an end result of the work we're seeing happen through the Research Triangle Park. So having said that, we think big ideas with small companies, but we are facing a challenge in working with big systems that are big operational structures, and we have to find a way to blend those together and reshape how we are moving forward as a country, because we're losing every day. We're in our ability to compete with the rest of the world. And I think that's, if I say things that keep me up at night, that's what keeps me up at night. And the people in this room and the work that you do is what will change that. So you have a huge job ahead of you. You've done tremendous, wonderful things. I would encourage you to continue to do those great things. And at the end of this day, recognize that we can't do it in isolation of the public-private partnerships, particularly in working in the governmental sectors. And I think we've done an extremely fine job of doing that here. And again, I applaud Joe and his team for the work they've done. And you see Tom Rabin here, who is chair of his board. And I thank them for all the great work, because the truth of the matter is, if we did not have the talent and blend the talent together, we would not make the progress we've made in North Carolina. And we have been fortunate to have many great leaders here to help move that forward. So I applaud the work you do, and I look for great things out of you, because without your help and without you continuing to push the ticket and push forward, we won't make a lot of progress. So it's not to burden you with anything today, but you've got a big job ahead of you. But hey, you look like you can do that. Thank you so much.